Hello everyone. Last week's video we talked about the 5 traits that identify a narcissist. And that helped me realize that I've dated 3 of them in my life. I want to know, what are the warning signs? So maybe I can help you determine if you're dating one and keep me from dating one in the future. I'm going to break this up into 4 parts, so it's not going to be a long video. And the 4th part I'm horrible at, obviously, because I've dated 3 and married 1. The 3rd one I dated, I married. So let's get into this and let's get moving forward. The first thing we should be looking for is love bombing or mirroring. One of the things I realized about 5 years into my marriage is that my ex-wife was changing. When we first met, she became the perfect person for me. She started following my hobbies and working with me. She started watching the movies I like. We went to the restaurants I like. We did everything I like. I never really saw who she was. And that's called mirroring. Love bombing is quick with affection. In other words, on the first date, they're holding your hand, they're hugging you, they're touching you. They're trying to move forward quickly. Because the narcissist needs someone to tell them they're wonderful. They need someone to get things from. And they can't do that if they don't move the relationship forward quickly. So a very rapid relationship is a sign of a narcissist. I went through this with a couple of them. Carol, who was the first woman I ever dated, who was most certainly a narcissist, moved very, very fast with our relationship. We only went on 1 or 2 dates before she was everywhere. The second one, her name was Joni. She was pretty much the same. She moved quickly and got me in there and started getting me to pay for things. And then we got my ex-wife. She moved quickly on the love bombing end and the mirroring end, but not as quickly as the other 2. I guess my defenses were up at that point, and she knew she couldn't push it too quickly. We did date a year before we married, but the mirroring helped mask who she was, because you don't know. You don't know who they are. They just seem perfect. And they don't start dropping that until years later when they can't maintain it anymore, and they gotta be themselves. So this one is troubling, and this is the one that I always fall for pretty bad, because I live a lonely life. Right now I got my 3 daughters, which is a shield against a lot of this. In the last couple of women I've dated, none of this happened. So it shows me that there are good women out there. The next warning sign we're going to talk about is boundary testing. Now, I didn't experience this with any of the 3 of them while I was dating them. Joni, Carol, and my ex-wife didn't do it while we were dating. I never married the other 2, just my ex-wife. She pulled this out 3 months into our marriage. We just purchased a new house. We were unpacking. I wasn't worried about the new house because she wanted children, and another child would have needed a larger house than the one I currently had. So it isn't that big of a deal. It didn't impact the finances that much. It was fine. But she tells me while we're unpacking, and she got angry, that I've been divorced before. I can do it again. I went into stunned silence at that point, because why the hell is she saying this? Why did she marry me? These are things going through my head. She did it to test the boundaries. She needs to know how far she can push me. Can she get that wall of Louis Vuitton purses? Can she get that master bedroom closet that has the display shelves everywhere? So when she brings her friends over, she can look at how fabulous all this stuff is. Stuff is stuff. It's not people. It's not emotion. It's not family. That's one of the things I have learned in my life. The other one she did was, I am 20 years younger than you. You'll never find this again. You need to behave. She would alternate between those 2 after about 4 or 5 years of marriage, just reminding me that I have something special and I need to maintain it. And again, they do this because they need to know how far they can push you. It got really bad near the end of our marriage. She would get mad and literally move out for a week with the kids and not let me see them or talk to them, and then move back in. She was staying with her brother or family and friends. And it's just pushing me to see how much I would tolerate. Well, at that point, I knew the marriage was done, so I tolerated it for a little while longer. The next warning sign is lack of accountability, blame shifting, and conversation hijacking. Experts put those as separate categories. I'm lumping them together because they are heavily intertwined with each other. You can't have blame shifting without conversation hijacking. It doesn't work. And here's an example from my marriage. I did get this from some of the others, and we'll discuss that with them as well. Okay? But my current one, ex-wife, we would have a conversation about budgets. She pushed those budgets hard, disregarded them constantly, would buy all sorts of crazy crap. And I would stop and say, hey, look, we got to live under a budget. We can't be doing this. And the next thing she would say to me after a line or two is, you're a bad father. That's conversation hijacking. It's moving the conversation away from the budget. It's also part of a lack of accountability. If we don't talk about the budget, I can't hold her accountable for what she's done. Because remember, the narcissist can do no wrong. So we have to deflect from doing the wrong. Okay? And blame shifting is also part of that. She would start blaming me for the budget, saying, you don't manage a budget correctly. You manage the money. Why isn't there money there so I can go shopping? You see how all three of these are interconnected? They should be a pretty big warning sign because they create friction in a relationship. You know, you try to talk about a budget and they start on, oh, well, you know, you don't help me with the kids enough. What are you supposed to do with that? What I did, and what I tried to do to remedy it, is I would tell her after about 7 or 8 of these arguments, we're going to do one topic at a time. When that topic is done, then we'll move on to the next one. So don't bring up bad parenting or anything while we discuss a budget. Never worked. She refused. She always went back to the other topics. So that should be a huge warning sign that you're dealing with a narcissist. Now, if you have someone like my ex-wife, these things don't show up right away. Okay? With one of them I dated, Joni, it showed up and I ignored it because she would all of a sudden have beer and stuff show up at her house when I wasn't there for a few days. And she would tell me during those few days in text that I'm doing nothing, I'm at home, I'm alone, I'm lonely. And then there's beer and stuff, and she would be like, well, I was lonely. I had some friends over. And it's just a lack of accountability with her. And I never caught that. And the conversation hijacking, you can see how that goes together with the other two. It just fits in too well. The last thing we're going to discuss is your gut reaction. It is your inbuilt warning system telling you, wait a minute, something's wrong. Unfortunately, I am bad at that. I got a big loser stamp on my forehead, apparently, because the predators look out there and then they see me and they're like, I can get that one. And they get me by love bombing and mirroring, and I'm not going to lie about that. That's how they get me. I'm lonely. I've been alone for too long. Last woman I dated was 2 years ago. She was a good woman, by the way. There was nothing wrong with that woman. We just didn't hook up. I was too wrapped up in too many problems. And again, I can't blame her for that. That's on me. Okay? Definitely not a narcissist, that woman. But anyhow, your gut reaction should let you know. The love bombing, the mirroring are things that should set you off because it's too quick, too fast. And they didn't with me at those times. Now they probably will. And I'm going to bring up a couple that should have let me know. Right away, I've got a problem on my hands. Joni, she talked me into taking her to Washington, D.C. So we get on the plane, we get a hotel, Washington, D.C., yeah, it's crime-ridden. We get in the hotel, and it's kind of locked up with bars and everything. The manager tells us we're going to be safe. It's not that bad. I'd looked at the hotel. It had good ratings. It was just Washington, D.C. That's all I can say. We ride the subway a few times. A few of the patrons on there talked to me. A couple of the women did, and Joni got really upset. Went and broke into the kitchen and stole a fork and was carrying the fork for self-defense. That should have set my gut reaction off really, really quickly because there's something wrong with this woman. Another instance with her is her sister tried to warn me off of her. Told me, this is a bad woman. You need to stay away from her. And I ignored it because I hadn't dated in a while and Joni was beautiful. I mean, you look up blonde-haired Barbie, you'd find Joni. beautiful woman. Crazy as hell. We're not going to get into that one. And I ignored all that. And see, this is what I mean by my gut reaction isn't any good. But things like this should tell you there's a problem. My ex-wife, she would have other men show up from time to time. And I didn't realize at the time she's shopping. She wasn't settled on me yet. She was looking for someone who had more money than me. And that should have been a warning sign, because if she's settled on me, why is he here? He shouldn't be showing up to events. He shouldn't be showing up to graduation parties, birthday parties. If he's showing up and he's got a vested interest in trying to date her, I need to walk away. She's not seriously here for me. I ignore these things because I'm dumb. And I'm a giver. I'm not a taker. We'll have a whole video on that, because I think that's a good one, and that could come into the next video I make. Okay? But I'm a giver, and I miss those warning signs because I give to please people. And that makes me a victim. You've made it this far. Please hit that notification bell, like and subscribe. It helps me out. It helps others find these videos. And you can follow me on Substack, where I put up a text version of this that I typed before I make the videos to get my thoughts in order. And it comes to your inbox straight to email. You don't even have to click the link to go to it. All right, we've gone through all the warning signs: love bombing, mirroring, lack of accountability, boundary testing, conversation hijacking, gut reaction, blame shifting. We went through all of those with examples. I fail horribly at my gut reaction. The warning signs, the warnings from friends, the warnings from families. One of my good friends told me that she saw me happy for the first time ever, so she said nothing. Your friends need to tell you that there's something wrong with that person. I ignored the sister because the girl was beautiful. That is dumb on my part. And that's not following my gut reaction. Like I said, I'm horrible at that. Love bombing and mirroring. They move in right away. There's something wrong. You shouldn't be moving in with someone right away. It's just, that should be a huge warning. And then they start throwing ultimatums, do this or else. Or if they start making bad jokes like, you're ugly, I can find a better man. Oh, I'm just joking about that. That's another warning sign of boundary testing that I didn't put in here, but the experts say we should watch for. So yes, be aware of the warning signs. Pay attention. If you have any questions of who you're dating, start doing some research and looking and seeing what they're doing. You don't want to marry a narcissist. I did that. I've been there. I've done it. I don't advise it.